today is really upsetting, and hopefully that doesn't close out the momentum of the A's 4-game winning streak, and hopefully it goes for more. But it's going to be very hard without Montas, man. It's something's going to either have to happen with the trade, or someone's going to have to step up and fit in that role. But the next 3 A's opponents, we got the 3 in Tampa for this weekend, which was a 4-game series, but we're going to close out 3 games in Oakland as well with Tampa. After that, we got St. Louis. Very, very interesting series there too. And then we close out next week before we start talking again with another 4-game series, but this time with the Los Angeles Angels. Now, this is where it's interesting. You know, you have you have a Los Angeles Angels team that is, I mean, you can't really confirm that they are in contention, but they're close, you know, and you got to respect those teams that are close enough to do anything and make playoffs. So one of those things that I really promote is giving these teams credit. And the one thing to slow down the division rivals is do it yourself, you know, and that's the only way you're going to slow down them in the pace that you would want it. You know, if you face the Angels, the only way to take them out of the picture is you do damage yourself and beat them, because you know every game that you win with a division rival, you gain a game in your division. Doesn't matter if you're beating these other teams in other divisions. I mean, it's gonna affect them in their division unless there's a wild card spot. But you want to do good against your division. That one of the great examples was Seattle. Seattle still haven't. I mean, the A's still haven't figured out how to beat Seattle in a series. I believe Seattle's in last place. You know, and if you have this thing where, okay, they started the year with Seattle and Tokyo. I think they only won 1 and then they lost 3. I think they were 1-3 for the season to start off. Then the last series that they played with them, they lost 1-2. And I'm pretty sure they went 1-2 again in the second time they played them in the year. And this is where you lose a lot of ground. You lose basically double what anything else, you know. I mean, especially against the last place team. I mean, it's really hard because you have so many teams trying to win and winning and succeeding. And Seattle is one of those things where you just have to figure out how to beat them, you know. And it's other teams are figuring out how to beat them because they're obviously in last place, but the Oakland A's need to play good against the AL West, and that's one of the issues. But let's go back to Montas. He was 9th in ERA, 21st in strikeouts, and 24 in whip percentage. Now, the ERA thing was really what was impressive. Now, we knew that Frankie had potential. We all knew that. We all knew it was either good starter or great reliever. That was the expectation that we had for him before this season of him breaking out. He lost weight, which really helped him out, keeping himself healthy, because he was very injury prone. You know, that's the one thing that really was an issue. Him just with the simple injuries. I think him losing the weight really helped him out. Hopefully he doesn't get into one of those phases where he's depressed and just eating and gains all those weight back. But he was really, really good for us. And it says a lot. I mean, being 21st in strikeouts, you know, that means we're one of the better pitchers and striking everybody out, you know. And it's impressive. You just have to be impressed of what Frankie Montas has done. And that's really what was very, very interesting and at the same time disappointing, him getting caught with the suspension that he got caught with. And it's been one of those really big surprises. And Montas is gonna have to do something next year, you know. And the A's probably might have the rotation to really be good in the years to come. So we're going to do a little activity, a little game, I guess. Trades that have worked out and trades that haven't. Now, this thing is just going to basically go over of who's been working out and who hasn't since being traded to Oakland. And we'll obviously talk about the pieces we lost in trades and how good they've worked out in their new teams, or how bad they've worked out in their new teams. Who knows? Now, the first one we got to discuss, Jeff Samardzija. That, to me, was the golden trade. Especially seeing how Samardzija pitched in his first year with the White Sox, which what really wasn't as impressive. You know, it wasn't impressive to me. He got the deal with the San Francisco Giants. I think it was a 5-year, $80 million deal, if I'm not mistaken. So he comes in and just starts struggling. And right now, he's barely at the spot where he is just pitching a little bit better, sub-4 ERA. So that's what Samardzija has done. Yeah. And we gave up Billy McKinney, Addison Russell, former top prospect of the Oakland Athletics, and Dan Straley for Jeff Samardzija. Now, Straley didn't stay much with the Cubs, and neither did McKinney. McKinney went immediately to New York after the Aroldis Chapman trade. He was one of the guys that went over there. So that went to New York after losing Aroldis Chapman. And Russell had that suspension as well, and had that little case of the domestic violence thing that he went through, and not really considered one of the top players at his position. Now, he was overly hyped. Was one of those guys that everyone thought was going to be a game-changing player. One of those guys, you know, and he had good momentum coming in, and at that time, it was a big give up for Oakland for a starting pitcher. Now, remember, in the I think this year was 2016 when they traded away Samardzija, but the A's had him for 2015. They made the playoffs, whatever, right? And that was literally the last year that they made playoffs, because that's when they traded also Yoenis Cespedes, and a little bit before the trade deadline for John Lester. And then in the offseason, they trade Josh Donaldson. Now, this trade, though, with Jeff Samardzija also happened in the offseason after the 2015 season. Now, or trading away Samardzija, should I say. Getting him was during 2015. Trading away was after the 2015 season, during the offseason. The pickup that the Oakland A's got, Rangel Ravelo, who respectively has been doing good in the minor leagues. AAA, if you really check him out, he's hitting over 300. Was really a contact bat, but hasn't had a chance to do anything in the MLB. The other pieces, Josh Phegley, who is having the best season of his career. And many people say that, you know what? He's been a great backup. I mean, and when he was at the backup position. Chris Bassett, who has been pitching phenomenally well this season and had his fair injuries, but he has worked out. I think people can debate that he's worked out. Marcus Semien was the main guy in this trade. Now, when Samardzija left, he didn't leave by himself. The A's didn't just send Samardzija for this big haul, you know, because it was a big haul, but it was really one of those underrated hauls where people were thinking, you know what, this is not going to be a game-changing thing. This is just Oakland just getting depth. They're going to rebuild. You know, they lost Donaldson. They lost Cespedes. They really were all in 2015. They lost the wild card spot. You know, these guys are not going to do anything. They're just trying to get anything that they can for Samardzija. But Semien has worked out incredibly well. Has had his chance. I mean, he still has a chance to be a first-year All-Star. He leads the MLB in shortstop with WAR, 3.7 WAR. He has a higher WAR than Matt Chapman, by the way. Semien hitting 10 home runs, 30 RBIs, 282 batting average, and a 366 on-base percentage. Now, when we see Marcus Semien, we remember that first year, that first rough year defensively, how he had 27 home runs, but a ton of errors. I think he led the MLB in errors at that time. So we all remember that season with Semien. It was a hard one. But it was a love-hate player. You saw potential in him, you know. You saw potential in the bat, at least. He had a chance to be a great offensively good shortstop. No one had the hope for him to be as great at defensively he did just been since last year. The main guy to thank, Ron Washington. Ron Washington came back to Oakland, worked with Semien every day after the 2015 season, and just really picked things up at a very, very great rate. And Marcus Semien is now potentially a 5-tool player because, I mean, he does run pretty well as well. He has 5 stolen bases so far. He has the chance to go double digits again in stolen bases. So you really just have to give props to Marcus Semien. You know, he's a really complete shortstop. He's also being linked in to getting a contract extension. So that's always great, you know, especially for Oakland, who at this time, they have a lot of middle field depth. And Jorge Mateo, Franklin Barreto, you can just go on with the list. But right now, the Oakland A's, they want to keep the core that's been working. You know, Marcus Semien, Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, they already extended Chris Davis. These are the type of things that the A's fans want. This is the type of things that you want to have for the Oakland A's. Now, there's just been said that the Oakland A's have been rumored to be more closer to getting a new stadium than the supposedly more likelier Tampa Bay Rays before. Because Tampa Bay was very likely to getting that new stadium before Oakland were ever to get a chance to get a new stadium. So you would have to be very excited as an A's fan. You're seeing these players that you love, that you're attached to already, that you are embracing, like Matt Olson, Matt Chapman getting those gold gloves last year, and Chapman with the platinum glove, Semien with the running up potential chance to get a gold glove, the story that he had being the worst defensive player at one point into being one of the best shortstops defensively, more consistent shortstops. And now hitting as pretty good. Everything's starting to turn around offensively for the A's. That infield has to be in the debatably, and if it weren't for Profar, in my opinion, if Lowry was still there, has to be the top three infield, top 5 infield at least, top 3. I wouldn't rule that out, you know. So it's really good to hear, you know, as an A's fan, they're interested. They're in the process. They already extended one, which is Chris Davis, who got $16 million per year, which was a big signing for Oakland. And Chris Davis, fan favorite. And this is weird. This is way different than just signing a free agent, you know, a free agent like Billy Butler at that time, which was a big deal when they signed him to a 3-year, $30+ million contract. That didn't pan out, but just at that moment, the A's fans were very excited. And imagine it being a guy that you know that can produce for you in Oakland, or can produce for you in the MLB. Chris Davis has been that, you know, and same can be said for Marcus Semien. You know, very worked hard, showed that he can be hardworking. He's from the Bay Area, born in Berkeley. I was born in San Francisco, went to UC Berkeley. Sorry, my bad. So it's really one of those things where you see the A's turning their